Welcome to another episode of the Hospitality Mentor podcast. And today, I got to say, I'm very excited. I've got my hopefully new friend, Vittorio Assaf, the founder of the Serafina Group, here with us today. Vittorio, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to be on your show, and and pleasure to happy to share my knowledge with your viewer. And
Um, yeah, I'm very excited to have you here because you've done so many things, but we always start here with our very first question what was your
sure.
first job in hospitality?
Ooh, we go back to 1986. I opened my first restaurant, and with a group of partners. And one of the partner was actually Andy Warhol. So I came to New York to open a restaurant called Caffè Condotti a lifetime ago, and I had the honor to have on the wall of this restaurant 12 oil of Andy Warhol. And I remember that the restaurant was very small. It was like a 60 seats, but back then was very obvious. It was very trendy, and was my first full immersion into hospitality and
That's amazing.
experience. Yeah, I got to know the whole city of New York back then, and it was a totally different New York. It was it was magic, I should say. But I remember that we took a chef from Italy called Mimmo Majorana, and was the restaurant called El Tula in Milano, which was one of the most famous and trendy and you know was a culinary destination, was as well a very trendy spot in Milano. And he was famous to make crespelle al forno with pomodoro. And so when he started to make this crespelle al forno with pomodoro in 1886 in New York, everybody was getting crazy. And then uh, um, some 10 years, some 9 years later, I finally found the Serafina, and then was a success story of one restaurant after the next, after the next, after the next.
I love it. And so I know that you were in Milan, correct? Before you came to New York, you were a stockbroker. Was that what I found correct?
Working on the floor of the
Yep.
Milano Stock Exchange.
And so how did you transfer from that to coming to New York and opening a restaurant? That's a big life
Yeah,
change.
mm. Yeah, totally, and a huge life change. I guess I met Andy Warhol to begin with. Then I guess the stock market collapsed in Italy. In Italy, is very everything is very dramatic. So they closed the stock market for I remember 2 to 3 months. It was going down, 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 and basically our job was commission based. And I had a friend, Pierluigi Guerci, back then was the uh, president of a glass company called Bormioli Glass, and then eventually became the president of Loro Piana, and the guy that developed Loro Piana. And he told me, Vittorio, come to New York, we open a restaurant together, take take your chef Mimo with you and your friend, because we were friends back then. And let's start like this, and so we started. And then I get involved in it, and I had another company together with him. Was Portofino. Back then was very very trendy and very very famous. We had like 100,000 customers in Manhattan, and so from then when I opened the first restaurant, this was a success story immediately.
Yep. I love it. And so
Yeah.
you have Andy Warhol. Is amazing that you just mentioned this, right? You have Andy Warhol, famous artist here, have his
Yeah.
paintings up. How did you meet him?
We met in Milano actually. We met out for dinner with friends and people back then.
So cool.
Baby basically back then. I was like 20, I think 22, 23 years old. But very social. I've always been very social in my life, and I love it. I love the social components of the restaurant job. I mean, I love to interact with my customers. Many became my friends, and so hopefully we will become friends very soon.
We are for sure. When
Yeah,
you're in Miami, I go to New York. We are friends already.
yeah, immediately. And So this was the beginning. You have the 80s in New York were magic years where everybody was meeting with everybody. And,
So what was it
you
like
know,
in your first restaurant? What was it like in the first restaurant? You say it was magical. What was that feeling for you? Because you imagine this place, you have beautiful artwork on the wall, you're in a unique location. What was it like? How did you feel?
the shareholders agreement to the restaurant was incredible. I had, I mean, Philip Johnson was one of the partner. Ian Pay was one of the partner.
Wow.
Mario Durs, one of the partner. He was the president of Lehman Brothers back then. Ken Nattori was one of the partner. Was the president of American Express. All of these people came together because of Andy Warhol, I guess, because of IMPay or the whole components,
Love it.
and so it was great. From there, I got to meet the whole, the whole fun New York of the 80s. Uh, so many memories and so many incredible, things to happen. But in the meantime, I learned how difficult the restaurant industry was, and how challenging, how how I learned about food quality. I learned about cooking. The restaurant was so small, so I was part of the part of the uh, part of everything. I mean, all day long. I mean, kitchen, front of the house, back of the house. Accounting issues, payment problems, whatever was there. And then I guess I always been interested and curious to learn. To the whole discovery process, and and, and so we start and
It's amazing.
and
As you're starting this, right? You're going through the restaurant, you're open, you say it's successful, and
yeah,
9 years later, you found Serafina Group. It's almost like a legend, the story of how you found it. Is it a true story that you were stranded on a boat?
totally. My partner Fabio and I, went to skydiving, and with our girlfriends. Not me because I suffer vertigo, but my girlfriend was all excited. We are to, this weekend we go skydiving. We go skydiving. So finally we decided we went in the Hampton. There was this school of skydiving, and we spent basically the whole day. They teaching us how to skydive. You have to sign all the paper if I break my arm and all the
Mhm.
suit, and all of this stuff. Then finally we were ready to skydive at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But it was a very windy day. The wind was like 40 knots an hour, or more even, and so the plane couldn't take off. So thanks God. And I had this brilliant idea, and I said to my partner, "Hey, why we don't go sailing on the bay?" I used to have a house on the bay, very close by, and I had my sailboat over there, and my partner was convinced that I had a Perini now, a gigantic boat. Instead, I had an Obdicat, 16 feet, and
Mhm.
my competition master, because I used to love to do sailing competition. And so when we left the bay in front of the house, the wind immediately I was there was 40 knots. 40 knots is a lot of wind.
Mhm.
Both start were flying on the water. When we arrived in the middle of the bay, I guess the wind picked up and probably way more, maybe 50 knots of wind or whatever. And we broke one of the cable, one of the sarti that hold the mast. The mast fell straight in front, and then we get stuck in the middle of the bay. Was the end of the summer, was Labor Day, 1994, and was really cold. Not many boat out there because of the wind. Was wavy, and we had a wave going on top of the boat. The hobby cats.
Mhm.
They apparently very low on the water, and so we were soaking wet. And in 1994, it's not that you have a cellular phone you can call friends. Maybe existed the
A big
Motorola
one, like this one.
or the Nokia. Oh, sorry, it was a Nokia. Not like the big Motorola, but or maybe not even back then. I don't remember. But anyway, so we were stuck in the middle of the bay, and with the wave passing on the boat and the wind and cold and we were, some boat passed by really far away. We were trying to wave and nobody see us. And in the meantime, come 5 p.m. and then 6 p.m. and then dark, so we say, "Wow, what's happening here?" And like all the Italian anyway, Italian talk about only two things, so basically food and girls. So it's talk about food and girls, and in the mid- in the on the house on the bay, my girlfriend and his girlfriend were really pissed with us because they didn't see us back, and my girlfriend was convinced that I went to see a girl on the other side of the bay that she had the house on the other side with her. So they decided to go to sleep. They go to sleep. They wake up much later, like by 11 p.m. and and when they didn't see us, they understood that maybe something went wrong, and so they call, I guess they call the police, they call somebody, but again, probably the police came and start to walk the beach, and they didn't find us. So by the time they inform any sort of safety coast guard or whatever, it was already probably midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, Fabio and I, my partner Fabio and I, we were on the boat, totally freezing, and when we basically we exhausted, we arguments about girls, starts about food, and then we say, well, in New York, it's missing something cool, something fun, something young. The only place that really was doing Italian food to a level of quality was missing quality in 1995, in 1994, and so the only quality probably was the theater that was French back then, but was doing Italian food as well, and there was really nothing between. The restaurant was very stiff. The waiter had the chile, euro, and stuff, and so was missing something cool, something young, something quality at an affordable price, a great quality at a reasonably price. This is basically what we're saying. There is nothing like that. Why we don't invent something like that? Why we don't come up with some idea like that? Why we don't propose a great Italian quality, great pasta, great pizza, but at a reasonable price in a very cool, fun, young, new environment. And so we start to talk about how he will do the restaurant, I will do the restaurant, what the menu should be, um, then I guess by midnight we start to lose any hope to make it, to survive, because
Mhm.
it's not that you can just swim ashore. It's like miles
Miles,
away.
yeah.
Yeah, and again, the wave, the wind, the cold, we honestly, by 1 o'clock, we were almost ready to give up. And anyway, so we did like, hey, if we're going to survive this experience, we're gonna reinvent Italian food. We're gonna reinvent Italian pasta. We're gonna invent Italian pizza. We're gonna make it fun. We're gonna make it cool. We're gonna make it new. We're gonna make it, you know, and so we shake hand, and another hour passed by, and by 2 o'clock, finally, they spot us. They spot us, and but still, we had to wait. We had to wait. The tow boat that come and pick you up and take you to the first port. I remember, Fabio, when we arrived to the port, or even before, when they give us a blanket, it, uh, we were completely frozen. Frozen. His teeth were breaking, and it was the morning after, actually. but what can I tell you?
So you make
Hey,
that pack on the boat. You make that deal. Do you shake hands and really believe it when you get off the boat, or was it just talk and you
no,
start talking about it later?
no, we shake hand and we say, if we're gonna survive, we're gonna reinvent Italian cuisine. As was probably just a talk, but then when they save us, hey, we took the opportunity. He had a construction company back then. He had a marble company, a construction company, and I had this huge follow clientele. And so we opened actually on we the only location that we found back then at a reasonable cost was the second floor at 1022 Madison Avenue, 79 in Madison, and defying any odds possible, we opened our first location on the second floor,
Which was
and
strange, right? Second floor, everyone wants ground
it
floor.
didn't exist anything. So, and we opened on July 17, 1995. The first day was obviously very quiet, and we say, "Oh my God, maybe we made a mistake. We made a huge mistake." But we had a great chef with us, Sandro Fioriti. Sandro Fioriti that was a legendary Italian chef from Rome, and the menu was truly unique in the New York in the 90s, basically. And and I mean, 2 weeks later, we had a line around the block outside. So
So,
I remember,
how did that change? How did you get people there? Because back then, 1995, I was a teenager at that time. There was no email really. There's no social media.
but
There's nothing like
but
that. How did you do it?
I had this company called Portofino back then, and I had 100,000 followers back then, 80,000, 90,000, 100,000. So, and people really believe in us, and we were organizing a lot of events and a lot of stuff. So all of a sudden, I send a mailer out, and people start to come, but the chef didn't want to send the mailer out immediately. He say, let
Practice?
me, you know, practice a few days before you really pull in the crowd, and only the closest friends used to come, but everybody was so happy. The wall were a fresco by an affresco artist called Antonio Romano, and that he was using not paint but pigments. Pigments are powder that you used to mix with olive oil, vinegar, white wine, or red wine to achieve whatever color. And the fun part is that those colors, if you touch them today, they are still fresh. The yellow is still fresh today. It's still stay on your finger. Right? So I mean, back then was totally unique. The walls were decorated, the lights were very warm. I mean, I was receiving everybody together with Fabio. I mean, everybody, was excited. The menu was truly Italian as opposed to a combination. Indeed, we changed an industry. We really reinvented the Italian cuisine in New York in the 90s, where there was absolutely nothing, and so the voice has spread rather quickly. And I remember one day we had at the beginning we had three kings for lunch. We had the king of Greece, the king of Belgium, and the king of Italy, and all the bodyguards, and in the meantime, family and kids running everywhere. It was really fun. We had only, if I remember, we had only like 50 seats on the second floor, and then we had a terrace above where, during the summer or end of the summer, every time it was raining, it was just such a mess because we had umbrellas there. And
Everyone's getting soaked.
yeah,
Well, you see,
everyone, okay.
you
And those, they're back, so there was no space. So, oh my God, I have so many stories I can write. One day I should.
you should, and then we're getting a little piece now.
Yeah, I wrote a book, but on cuisine, on Serafina, but never on all the fun story, fun anecdote, of the anecdote. I mean, we say in Italy on on customers, on whatever happened, on journalists coming in the restaurant, whatever happened at the beginning.
So tell me this, you have a success there. When did you know that it was gonna be successful? Because it was right off the bat that you, "Wow, we did it, Fabio. We have it," or was it a moment that
We
you remember?
walk one night. There was so many people. We were oh, I was so overwhelmed. But I remember that I had the mayor for dinner, and with all the security and all the stuff, and I put him upstairs at the end of the terrace because he wanted to be, left alone. And we had again a line of people downstairs and around the block, and So at one point at 9 p.m., the mm, the pizza guy came to me and said, "You guys are crazy. I mean, we already made 600 pizza for the day. I mean, this is insane. Take that out from the guys. You guys are nuts. We are leaving." Both it's the guy that left. So so I had to go to every table and say, "Hey guys, I'm really sorry, I mean, but we had a small problem. It's but I mean, I can make you an appetizer. I can make a pasta. I mean, we don't have only pizza. We have the best pasta and the best appetizer. So all the order change into pizza and into appetizers and pasta. And so at the appetizer station, the printer was pretty like a mile long. And so the appetizer guy came to me. I'm crazy. I can't make it. I can't.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm leaving. And so the guy left. So I had to do the whole tour again of the people that say, "I'm really sorry. I mean, it's more problem appetizer, but don't worry, I'll make you some pasta, some fish, some stuff, some desserts. Don't worry, I'll offer you all the desserts, no problem." So the same story in my long order goes to the pasta station. So bottom line, they all quit. They all left. I had to go to the mayor. Mr. Mayor, I really apologize. We had a small problem in the kitchen area.
Cry.
But I can make
Yeah.
pasta. Want to, you know. Anyway, so I went downstairs and I cooked pasta for the mayor, and I mean, he was really not happy, let me tell you. And everybody left. Oh my God. And then the morning after, I mentioned everybody back again, apologized. They said they were stressed and we're under pressure. And
Yeah, so how do you let's talk about that. Let's pause for a second. There's stress. Restaurants are stressful. You just made me stressful because I worked in restaurants and I hear the printer printing in my head now. Zzz, zzz, zzz. How do you handle stress with your team? If somebody has a restaurant right now and they're listening to you, Vittorio, what advice about stress do you have for them?
but the only way to avoid the stress is to get very organized. You have to have, you have to, an organization in mind. All the waiter, they have to have station. You have to assign a specific station to them, and they have to come whatever the station may be, next to the corner, next to the column, next to the bar, and they have to come back to their station immediately, no matter what. And so they can help each other. Obviously, if they shit in the fan, they have to help each other. But otherwise, they have to look at whatever their section may be. I don't mind if they talk with each other because they do anyway, but um, they have to talk while looking at their station. The managers on the floor, they have to be ready to jump in and to help anybody. It's not such a hierarchy structure. Everybody has to be ready to do the job of each other in the kitchen, especially. The 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 chef has to be ready to do the job of the appetizer, and the appetizer has to be ready to do the job of the pizza, and vice versa. And this is the trick of the restaurant industry. Everybody can get sick tomorrow morning and not show up, and still somebody has to cover the position. The customer experience has to be flawless in the other one. And then you have to have a menu that has to be simple enough or prove enough where you know that it's fail proof, meaning um, meaning has to go in such a routine. Of course, you have to give a freedom to the chef to make their own appetizers because otherwise, chef is an artist. You can of a certain amount of creativity, but the the basic of the menu has to be really truthful and sure that it can be made in the correct way under any sort of pressure at any given time. I mean, and normally restaurants are all about preparation. The actual execution of the dish cannot take more than a couple of minutes. I mean, if it does more than a couple of minutes, then you are in trouble, or you are going at such an high-end restaurant. You have to have an army of people in the kitchen ready to execute the order. And
Yeah,
today, the biggest problem of the restaurant industry is labor cost. Labor cost is, you know,
crazy. Yeah, it's hard.
unfortunately, totally offhand, offhand. In New York, actually, there is such a scarcity on the labor side, on the, the you don't find any real waiter. You don't find any real uh, kitchen employee that knows what they're doing. Everybody is, and when you find them, they all have a double job. This means they have a shift in the morning for somebody and a shift in the afternoon for somebody else. So all the kitchen are closing at 10 p.m. Unfortunately, New York, the city, they never sleep. It's not true.
Sleeping.
Yeah,
They all came to Miami, you see? Now they come here. But it's
yeah.
hard everywhere. It's hard, and we can talk about that. I wanna get that to at the end, but it's hard now to run a restaurant, and you've been so successful for it, and so this just tips like this, I think, for a lot of people will click,
Yeah.
right? Have simplify the menu, make sure it's still high end, but many things, ingredients for each, quick service. I
No,
think you're hitting on a lot of those things.
not quick. Don't get me wrong. Everything is about preparation.
Yep.
Quality first. You have to start with quality ingredients. We travel Italy 4 to 5 times a year to search for quality ingredients, and or to go to visit the people that makes our Parmigiano Reggiano. I mean, to establish such a relationship that we know we can count on always the best possible quality. The best possible quality always give you a margin of error. Always. I mean, somebody has to really burn your plate. You know? That the high level quality ingredient guarantee always the base. But the actual execution of the dish cannot take more than 2 or 3 minutes. Cannot. Otherwise, I mean, you're gonna fall behind and behind and behind.
No, that's a great tip. So let's get back on your journey because I wanna ask you some more tips as we go, but I want the journey here for people to hear. So Serafina, you're opening, big success, second floor. Who would have thought that it would have been what it is? When do
Yes.
you start thinking, "All right, we can do another restaurant"? How does that come? Because one restaurant is one thing. You had one from before. How do you start thinking, "All right, we're gonna continue this"?
Well, I mean, our occupancy basically was 100%. So we were busy constantly 7 days a week uh, um, from 12 noon till I mean 11 o'clock at night.
Wow.
So we realized that, but we didn't have many seats. I mean, again, given that we had only 50 seats on the second level and another 50 on the terrace, coming September, October, November, there is no more terrace.
Yeah, so 50 seats.
50 seats, and so it was almost a natural that we were looking for a second location. Uh, People were demanding us to do a second location. I say, it's impossible to find a reservation with you guys. And we were only taking a reservation for party of six or more because we couldn't afford to leave empty any table. Actually, at the beginning, we had our name was Sophia when
Oh,
we first,
that's my
and
daughter's name. You see? Beautiful name.
yes, okay, beautiful name, very short to the point, and it was the name of my ex girlfriend. And after, I guess, after even a few weeks before, we were so busy with preparation of the restaurant, she left it. And so I always had a table reserved for Sophia in the restaurant just in case Sophia she will ever come back. And she never did. But no problem. That's another story. But unfortunately, we had a trademark on the name Sophia, but some 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 bad people, some people had um, had you know we had to change the name. We had to change the name. So 1 year later, we did the drawing, and the people that were going to come up with the name uh, were winning a pizza for a lifetime. For a lifetime, and so we had like 430,000 entry cards.
Oh my god.
By the time, by the time we finally changed the name, the new name uh, uh, was um, came up that most of the people sorted the name Serafina. Then Serafina was available for registration. We registered a second name Serafina, and but we did the drawing. We did the drawing of all the Serafina that came out, and Ivana Trump back then, uh, full because was one of the customer. Yeah,
Yeah.
she was going out with a friend of mine back then, Alfredo Gaetani, uh, uh, and so she pulled the name of an Italian countess, Chana, that you know that won the free pizza for a lifetime.
Did she ever come?
Yeah, she came for like for a while then. I never saw her. I guess she'll go back to Italy. This was the, but the New York Times give us two or maybe three, I don't remember. I mean, a huge article on the New York Times, like at least two full pages. So by the time we changed the name, we were the sensational town. And so and we opened the simultaneously the second location at 20 to, on it was 27 East 61 back then. And so when I remember that we had a line outside the door. I mean, so on 79 and on 61st of people that screaming. They were on the table. They were 80,000. It was so funny. And the name was Serafina Fabulous Grill. This one, because we had the grill. We went to Italy and we got inspiration. And we did a 10-foot wood, a cherry wood fire grill. And
Wow.
it was an amazing menu. And only, I remember, only two Malaysian guys were able to work in front of the grill because the temps
Uh,
800 degrees. But those guys didn't blink an eye. You know, and they were the only ones cooking. And
it's
that's
amazing.
the beginning of the second location. Actually, something so fun happened, but I don't know if I can tell you. I don't know if
Tell us. We have time. We're here.
so the second location we had to it was on 61st, East 61st, and then the regulation were changing, and so we had to have a machine called a smoke hog. A smoke hog, he sucked the fumes from the pizza oven and from the grill, those humongous 10 sheet grill. So the first day that we opened the door, I remember Tim Zagat show up for lunch, and I said, "Oh my God, Zagat, the guy."
Yeah.
Day
The
one,
Zaga guy, day one.
we opened at noon. He was there at 12:15. So, and I was there with the journalist. I don't know, Gail Green or somebody like that. Anyway, I was there for a job with a journalist, and so at one point, like at 12:30, I saw a red uh, alarm blinking above the pizza oven, and I said, "Oh my God, what is that?" I called the contractor, and he told me that's a smoke hog, but I am upstate. I can't come. I can't make it on time. I mean, you have to go up on the roof and check what is going on with the smoke hog. So I go up on the roof immediately, and the smoke hog was off. The machine was not spinning, and that's why the
Red light.
alarm, the red spinning, but it's over. So I mean, I say I tried to, the power, but there was no power. I tried the circuit breaker. There was no circuit. The machine was every machine break when you see you normally in the kitchen. Completely no, everything break the first week, and then everything starts working. So don't get nervous when the oven break or the stove get clogged or whatever. Yeah, it's normal the first week, and then later everything will work. But anyway, so I had to go downstairs. I ran downstairs and I say to my parents, "Oh my God, the machine that sucked the fumes doesn't work." In the meantime, out of the pizza oven, there was like a teeny of smoke coming off and going to the ceiling. It was something floating above the ceiling. Like, and I say, but I don't think it's a problem for the moment. But happened that 15 minutes later or 20 minutes later, the smoke was down to the level of the table. And so I had to go to people. I said, "I'm really sorry." Then Then another alarm start, the fire alarm start to work. So the fire department show up. They run to the roof. They spray like thousands of gallons of water into the smoke hog. And all of this water came down from the chimney of the pizza oven and the grill. And you don't understand. What
My God.
you don't want to know. My review in Zagat, like 19 points for years and years to come. I got 21 points when I got 19. No, come on.
She said fire, smoke, emergency.
I found an article of insults of the New York Magazine 1 week later. They were a crazy place where any crazy stuff can happen. Or babies are jumping on you while you try to get burn full of dirty water from the fire or stuff like that. Anyway, I thought all of these add to the hype that everybody want to come to see what it's all about, this place, this crazy place, so crazy alias, you know?
Well, you
And,
right? So
anyway,
bad press is good press, so you say.
uh, after a while, so I had, like, we were doing like 800, 1,200 people a day in this new restaurant, 64, while the other one was 79, was still jam-packed.
Wow.
This was the beginning of the beginning. And then I guess 1 year later or 2 years later, we opened another location. And then, because people were living in certain area, why guys you can open there? And so we started to open. And then, and then was a success story. Then we started to open internationally and, you know,
How do you get to a point? Because when you start opening restaurants, how do you talked a little bit about it. How do you keep the quality and standards that you expect, right? Because you can't be everywhere, right? And you're the face of
you
the
know,
restaurant. How do you keep it going?
well, you really have to find people that care to begin with. And then you have to care, meaning, a life of a restaurateur is not exactly like a life of the people that work in the bank or Monday to Friday, 9 to 4. No, not really. Or 9 to 5. I mean, our job start at 8 to 9 o'clock in the morning when the delivery are getting in, and when you deal with all the problem and the vendors and the insurance and you name it, all the problem of the when you fix all the problem of the day before, and and then restart another time when the people are coming for lunch, and then solving all the issue in the afternoon, and then restarting again when people come from dinner at 6 p.m. and on. If I uh, again, there are many suggestions that I can to your viewer, but I mean, organization and never leave one day passing by if you didn't take care of the problem of that day. Meaning, I don't know. I mean, anything issue with vendors. Issue with qualities, issues with no. You can't leave anything for the day after because the day after you're gonna have another tons of problems. This is the beginning of the beginning of any training with any managers, anywhere or any kitchen guys. I mean, so you can afford to run out of an item. You can afford to, you know, not have candle for the service tonight, or not have or whatever a filet mignon or any ingredients, and uh, another suggestion I can give to any restaurateur is is to have a variety of items on your menu from the inexpensive one to most expensive one. So to be able to attract any sort of customer range profile. I mean, you have to have the penne pomodoro basilico, and you have to have the spaghetti with caviar. I mean, people can afford spaghetti with caviar, and they're happy to have them. Why deprive them from the privilege to have them? So, meaning any sort of price range in your menu. Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
mean, that's great advice. That's great advice.
yeah.
And so as you're growing, how many restaurants do you have now?
Same go for the wine.
The wine.
Same goes. Yeah, why not? If
Yeah.
you want to drink grigio, perfect. But if you want to have Chateau Lafite, perfetto too. I mean, this is the part from anybody else in the beginning. The possibility to cater to the neighbor that live in front or to the king that really live in another stratosphere. And,
Yeah. I think you hit it because there's younger people who are just starting their career who don't have that much money, but still want to be a part of what you're creating. And then you have the people who are more successful that can continue. Right?
yeah,
I think a great way to do your business and for anyone
definitely,
is
definitely quality. There is no second chance for a first impression. Never. So you have to have you know that you have to be able to count on a great quality coming out of the kitchen.
that's true. And so you continue to grow, like you said, you have restaurants now all over New York, you go international, Mumbai, you have restaurants over there, I see, like, very different places.
I
Do you care
am working on Marrakech right now. I'm working on Milano. I'm going to Milano the end of September. I'll be in Milano. Uh, uh, we are opening a new cognac in the next. Cognac is a French restaurant that I part of the group in the next 3 weeks. Um, I mean, we never stop, basically.
yeah,
I mean,
you keep going. But I have a question because about
just
the
think,
growing,
yeah,
right? The growing part, 'cause I have a question. I saw you're friends with Chef Nobu. I used to work for Nobu Hotels, and I
yeah,
love the culture with Nobu and how everyone has to start out as a server to become a manager, to become a director.
yeah.
Is it the same for you, or is it a little bit different?
Uh, we give space to grow to everybody. Everybody that shows a desire to grow, shows the commitment to the company, uh, uh, shows you want to learn the knowledge. We always give space to them. Always, always, always. It's very common that a dishwasher become a preparator and then grow within the kitchen. It's very common that a busboy grow to become a waiter. Obviously, he has to speak English, but they grow to become a waiter, and the waiter become an assistant manager, and the assistant manager become a manager, and the manager become a general manager. But they have to want to. Or maybe a waiter becoming a bartender, but they have to go to school and they have to show us that they have a knowledge, basic knowledge. Then we are happy to train anybody, but they have to have a base, an infrastructure, something to start with.
I love that. And so now
Yeah.
let's talk about what you're doing now. You've grown, like you're saying, you're opening in different cities, but now you've opened a couple of unique things that are brand new that you've been pushing, and opening and getting a
Uh,
lot of great reviews. So talk to us about what you have coming now.
we just opened Venice in Italy, Serafina Venezia, at 1089 San Marco, and
Wow.
in Yeah. Yeah, such a beautiful restaurant on 3 level, a ground floor, second floor, and then the rooftop. 50 seats per floor. A beautiful environment. The restaurant is covered with roses or wines. And I think it's one of the most beautiful restaurants I ever did. So 1089 San Marco in Venice. Uh, mm, uh,
I mean, I
going
also see you have Serafina Vino e Cucina, right? That just debuted a little bit earlier this year. Is that something special for you?
um, what where to be careful not to confuse the clientele. People love Serafina, and and what's happened with the Serafina Vino Cucina is that we during the pandemic we believe that the disposable income of the New Yorker to begin with, and all of the 500,000 New Yorkers that left, the affluent part of the community that left, they went to Florida or to Texas or to Arizona or to Aspen, or to Palm Beach or whatever they had, to the Hamptons. Anyway, they left the city. So we believe that the disposable income of the New Yorker was tremendously diminished by the pandemic. And so we start something called SDG, Serafina to Go. Was a more simple version of Serafina, much smaller footprint, reserve to, the post-pandemic time. The, um, the reality is that when you own a restaurant company, you have to be able to count, only partially on yourself and mostly on management, on manager, assistant managers, two of them, so totally three management, chefs. I mean, and and not necessary a small restaurant, a small footprint restaurant is can afford to pay for all of this managerial infrastructure, right? So uh, to be able to pay for managers, assistant managers, chef people, you need a you need a minimum base of at least 100 seats or more, especially considering the astronomical rent of the city of New York and the cost of insurance that almost doubled in the last 3 years because of whatever whatever thunderstorm or hurricane that may affect
Flooding,
Florida,
yeah.
that instead of some other state. For whatever reason, we are paying in New York double the cost of insurance double, which is absolutely insane. Plus the real estate tax that we are paying in New York is every location pay, I would like to say, $10,000 a month in real estate tax for the landlord, that the landlord turn around and give to us, the tenant. In addition to the rent, the occupancy costs are astronomical. Anyway,
Yeah,
so
it's hard. It's hard now for every restaurateur, whether cities, it's food costs high, labor costs high, insurance, everything. It's harder and harder to stand out.
the city of New York really should need a better political management in the sense that people leave for the weekend on Thursday night and come back on Tuesday morning. Every
Wow.
week, long weekend. The office buildings are empty. Nobody goes to work anymore. I don't know how. This city is the capital, the financial capital of the world, but it's not true anymore. It's the city where nobody works. Everybody works remote. Everybody works from home. It's
Yeah, it's getting
getting
tough.
getting very tough. And the landlord are raising the rents instead of adapting the rent. Every pharmacy in New York, every CVS, Walgreens, Duane Reade, they're gone. They're all gone. They're not there anymore. People buy online. In the same mean, people stay home and
Yeah.
don't go out. And plus, they legalize marijuana. And the truth is that people smoke.
Well, but it makes them hungry. They got to eat somewhere.
Yeah, they are. I don't know. I
Well,
No,
you've got challenges.
the delivery level raise is true. Delivery amount are up, but the complication of the delivery operator are humongous. The delivery guys, they're great. They come and pick up the food, but do they care for your food? Not really. If you have a pizza like this, they put them into their bag, and they shake your pasta. They, so or they do 20 delivery run before they get to you with your food. So
It's
your food
hard.
gets there in 1 hour. And yeah, it's closing the box for 1 hour. Put the keep on cooking and it's very hard.
Yeah, it's hard. And so, are people crazy to open restaurants now? If somebody came to you, a young guy like young Vittorio in 1985 coming to you now, would you tell him to open restaurants or would you say, no, 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 go do something?
Great to open a restaurant in Arizona, in Miami, in Texas, definitely not in New York City, and definitely not in Los Angeles, because the labor law are
That's tough. Crazy.
difficult. Think about that. You have 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 employees that has to be paid every Friday afternoon. So the every and the pandemic took a huge inflation. If I tell you that the cost of the filet mignon raised 2 months ago, 40%. 40%. But I can raise my price 40%. But the filet mignon raised on me 40%. Meaning the cost of a filet mignon from a company called Double R Ranch. Part
Good
of
ranch. Yeah, great ranch.
the best quality. Ingredients have to be top. It is a part of the Snake River Farm Ranch. Okay, they are in Loomis in the Northwest, in Double R Ranch. So the filet mignon went from $17 to $24. I mean, but what do you want to do? The steak went from $10 a steak, 10 ounce, pre-cut, pre-portioned, to $14 a steak.
Yep. No, it's wild. I don't understand. Like, I
Ah,
was looking just for my family. I have a family of 4,
yeah,
right? To go out to eat anywhere now is hundreds and hundreds of dollars just to eat at a normal
yes,
restaurant.
it's not that expensive. My actually Serafina is like $40 or something like that.
No, I like that you're Serafina Aventura. We
Yeah,
love it. Great
yeah.
place. If you haven't been there, listeners, make sure if you're not driving, pause this, go look at the restaurants that they have on Serafina Group, but they have some amazing places. And
Amazing.
you're right. It was beautiful. And I am excited for the one in Miami because it's next door where I live, basically. So I'm excited for
Yeah,
that one.
the new one would be next to the arena, next to
Yep.
the touch to that construction. But again, it's difficult. It's not easy. Extra virgin olive oil. In Italy, they had a parasite that killed 4 million olive trees. But there is the olive oil went from we buy one of the best is a Partanna red quality from Tommaso Zaro, and he's a friend. And the price went from $75 2 years ago a case, $180 a case for 12 liter. I mean, it's like, and we consume in Manhattan alone 35,000 liter of extra virgin olive oil per year.
Wow.
Wow! Think about the impact. The wines, they raised price of wines like there is no tomorrow. But I mean, I guess cost of transportation, the cost of transportation. But it's not that the gasoline is way more expensive that it justifies 50% more the bottle of wine or 70% more on a bottle of wine. They say that the transportation is so much more expensive. During the pandemic, I'm with you. To send a container from Italy was $20,000 per container. But today, the cost of the container went down to not to the same level of pre-pandemic, but more or less. I guess, the whole system took advantage, raised the price reasonably. But the result for Restaurateur is a tremendous increase of the cost of purchasing food, the food costs for us.
Yeah. So what do you do now? Because you only have a certain amount of seats. You add delivery, but they take their cut.
I,
How do you get more people? You turn the tables faster, or what do you do?
I can raise my price above the limit where I place. I
Right.
think I target a family. I target everybody. Serafina target everybody. But most of the longevity is the fact that I have a family clientele as a base, as a structure, and you can raise your prices. I mean, you have to eat the difference. You have to try to shave your cost as much as possible. You have to become way more efficient than what you were before. And
Mhm.
I mean,
I love efficiency. Are you using some kind of technology now? See, now we're getting off topic here, but I'd like to see.
uh,
Are you using anything
uh,
different?
wow, I'm obviously studying robotic kitchen. I'm studying with a company in Hong Kong on a new revolutionary line of a robot that spin around where to make at least the pasta station more consistent to begin with, but it's still too early and it's still too expensive and still require the same operator to cook the pasta, to put the ingredients in these 6 pin that spin around. And,
Yeah.
but yeah, in a matter of few years, I mean, our politicians, they keep on raising the cost of minimum wage, but they don't understand. I was on Fifth Avenue. I walk everywhere in the city. I walk as much as I can. And so I went in a new McDonald's that they're opening on Fifth Avenue. I mean, it's a jump in the future. There's nobody working there. Nobody. Nobody. It's all automatic. It's all machinery. So no more cashiers, no more nothing. I mean, so our politicians are pushing to raise the minimum wage to get the votes. Now people are talking about 20, $25 an hour. But I mean, my employee cost is already 35, 37%. You push me at 45. Uh, how am I going to make it? I'm out of business. My margins are already too low right now. I have to raise the price of my pizza, $30 a pizza. I mean, to be able to afford a $25 an hour minimum wage. In New York, we have something called tip credit. Some politicians decided they want to take out the tip credit. If we lose the tip credit, I mean, another $5 more per employee, per hour. How can I make it? People don't realize how complicated is the restaurant industry, hospitality. I mean, you rely on employee, but on the other hand, I employ 900 people. Before pandemic, we were 1,100. Today, we have to optimize the
Yeah.
employee. But what they're going to do, these 300 people that I lost? And going forward, I even have to lose more. And I mean, it's just it's show companies everywhere they use robotics everywhere. I mean, in packaging of industry, in a
Yeah.
sewing of textile company, everywhere. I
I'm
mean,
seeing.
so, so how are they going to reintegrate the people into the workforce? I don't understand.
No, I think it's not gonna stop because I see it everywhere now, and especially in back of house. You can start seeing it more in hospitality more and more, and even in coffee shops. Before, the barista had to know how to use the machine. Now you push one button, the
Yeah,
machine does it, you're okay.
yeah,
And soon you won't even need a barista in a lot of places. I've seen a lot of those things coming now. So for you, I still love and I hope that we can find a way to the kind of restaurant where you have, where it's you coming to the table. I'm making a connection with Vittorio. I know my
yeah.
server. I love this food. I come a couple of times a month or a week.
You
That's where it's
do.
missing.
Use technology to put the table with the computer with a portable device to make the order to avoid to diminish no avoid to diminish the possibility of mistake by making an order. Therefore, to optimize in the kitchen, obviously work only by computer. I mean, I'm looking at possibility to study the use of AI into my industry, into my
Yeah.
business, but so far not.
It'll get there. I think especially for your managers, 'cause I don't know about yours, but I've talked to others that are so busy with payroll and scheduling and writing emails and all these things. So if that can help them take
Yeah,
there, they can get on the floor, better.
yeah. Look, I mean, the truth of the matter is that you have somebody that does HR because if you don't, you put your company at risk. So you're able to count on some very, very, very good HR department. In my case, it's a department in a startup. It's an outside HR consultant, but you have to have somebody that really does HR in the correct way for you. Then you can use so many programs to help you to expedite the process of doing the payroll. I mean, anything from a payroll company software, post software for the money.
Yeah.
Uh, but uh, but uh, but you have to have HR and you have to have the precise documentation before you hire anybody. Obviously, this is you have to be very
Number
careful.
1. Yep.
One, I mean, yeah,
I've got in
and
trouble with that before, not signing the right paper the wrong way. The government comes in, fine
uh,
you.
no, the employee can go to a contingency lawyer is going to go to your employee, not your employee going to them. It's the opposite. Contingency lawyers are the worst possible, and they take advantage of it. At one
Yep.
point, had one contingency attorney in front of every restaurant. I mean, stopping every employee coming up. Hey, I'm sure your employer does something wrong. Just sign here. We look. We get you money.
Yeah,
So
and then
that
they come eat in your restaurant after. You see?
uh, yeah.
Then they come
So
to you.
they all come. They all you have to have really the knowledge and the safety that you are behaving with your employee in the most correct way, in the most legal way. And when you hire them, every piece of documentation is the way it should be. I mean, this is
Yeah.
my
No, it's
21.
hard. It's hard truth. So we shared some hard truths with people because you need to hear these things. This is the real life when you're working at it every day. But let's go the other way. Let's focus on the positivity. What are you excited about in the industry now? What is making you excited? You've seen so many things. Is there something that stands out, whether it's at your company or somewhere else? You're like, wow, that's I like this.
Well, definitely technology versus when we opened the first time. When we opened the first time, we had almost nothing. When I was that we had micros, primitive form of micros. Today, you have so many POS software company that really give you a comprehensive overview on your business. You have you keep control of anything is going on. You are in charge. You have the every aspect of your business in your hand. These I'm very excited about. In my specific cases, I'm excited about my growth and my growth international, um, more than domestic, and more than New York City specifically. Again, New York City, my I own 25 restaurants, all in the city of New York. And when you go out, it's for license. Um, the only international division that we own is Italy, because we are Italian, obviously, and you know, it's something that we owe to our own country to own our own restaurants in Italy. But other than that, is all license the name, because if you are far away, you cannot you cannot handle. You know, you cannot manage a restaurant, you know, on a distance, such a long
Mhm.
distance away. So you have to have somebody responsible there. You have to have a partner there. You have to have somebody there that care on the day-to-day operation of the business. But anyway, I'm very excited about my growth international. I'm very excited about the technology that the future has for us. I'm really working on this robotic um, full time. Um, what I'm working on, uh, I'm working on a line of wine with no alcohol, because
Oh,
there's a lot of people that can drink. So I'm working on that. There is nothing out there right now. So I'm happy that I found an incredible quality in France, actually. And so we will have, there is basically no difference between the wine and the de-alcoholized wine. So it's totally unique and totally, I think the future we see much more of those products. Today in America, still nothing. So I'm importing this quality right now. And what else I'm working on? Uh, well, I'm working at supermarket, ready to eat food, can be
yeah.
frozen, can be frozen pasta, can be a truffle product, uh, can be a pasta. I have my own line of pasta that I use
Yeah.
in my. They're made with bronze extruder, very high quality. So now we are packaging and starting in September to sell it to retail, to the big distribution.
I love it. That's beautiful. That's fun. Those are fun things because now I see Carbone is doing it. Rayo's has it. I'd love to see you coming. I'd rather buy from you. Now that I know you, I'm gonna
Yeah.
and all the listeners, we're gonna be buying from Vittorio.
Thank you so much. But it would be reasonably priced. It would be very high quality. Yeah.
I love it. So you have a lot of exciting things happening and going on, and and an hour flew by with us, Vittorio. See, we're already making good friends. 1 hour flew by here in our conversation. But I always finish up with at the end here is the same question. So if you could talk to young Vittorio, 1985, opening his first restaurant with all the excitement going around, with everything you've learned, what advice would you put in the ear of young Vittorio at that
Well,
time?
I will I will do it over again all the way through as I did it. But never give up. Never give up. I mean, you find yourself with the night I told you before, right? The old kitchen quitting. Never give up. The day after, show up, back again like nothing ever happened. So never give up. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you can't give up. You have to believe in yourself, A to Z, and never give up.
think that's great advice. And for anyone that needs some motivation today, rewind those last 30 seconds. Never give up. From Vittorio here.
Yeah.
Vittorio, how can anybody connect with you? What's the best place for them? I see you have a great Instagram. Should they connect with you on Instagram? Is there other places that they connect with you? What should they do?
Wow. It's I am I am literally jam. But Instagram, I'm not very much in Instagram, honestly. But why not? I mean, through the website of Serafina, I guess would be the best way.
Yeah.
SerafinaRestaurant.com, www.serafinarestaurant.com. Then you go on page where you contact us and let me know through there. I will give you my number, but I
No, no,
am
no, don't do that today. You'll be overwhelmed. I think that's a good place is to be on the email, and you never know. You might see Vittorio at the restaurants. I know he
yeah,
was in the restaurants last week.
you find Serafina everywhere in New York. Come to
Yeah,
see, you love it,
go
and
see Vittorio. Make sure to check out his restaurants.
you
And
know
for all,
quality, 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 and never give up. I mean, this is my suggestion, really.
I think that's a perfect place to end our conversation today, Vittorio, with that great advice. Thank you once again. I'm very grateful that you joined us today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure to be with you.